It's terrorism in France. So I got a video I'm going to play here, and then we'll get on to it. Okay, guys? So here we go.
Yeah.
Satirical magazine Charlie Hebdo, Reuters is reporting that multiple people have been killed.
The president of France calls it a terror attack that would make it the most deadly one in 2 decades there. Here's what we know. 2 heavily armed men, at least, semi-automatic weapons, maybe a rocket-propelled grenade, attacked the offices of a French satirical magazine.
Charlie Hebdo is well known for courting controversy. When it launched in the 1970s, the magazine quickly became known for its flippant treatment of politicians and public figures.
Here's what we know right now. In Paris, 3 terrorists are on the loose and 12 people are dead.
The 3 suspects have been identified by police. At least 2 gunmen and perhaps 1 acting as a lookout are still on the loose in Paris or beyond, in fact.
Liberté d'expression! Liberté d'expression! Liberté d'expression! Liberté!
The suspects now being identified as 2 brothers, Sharif and Saeed Kouachi. They're considered armed and obviously very dangerous.
But the latest is that there was a man at a gas station in northern Paris who saw these 2 alleged suspects.
The gas attendant says, according to local media, they held him up, stole food and gas.
The question is whether there's something larger here in the works, because these guys are still on the run. Are they going to carry out other attacks? Are there other people that they need to be looking for?
So there you have it. I guess I'll go first here real quick, since I really want to talk about this.
How about a quick update too?
Well, we can get to the updates later. That's fine. But I want to talk about the beginning of this, of course. Again, my heart goes out to the families that were affected by this. There's no doubt. It's a sad, sad, I guess, day when it happened for the families that were affected by this, lost their loved ones and whatnot, for freedom of expression, freedom of speech, freedom of the press. Very sad day, no doubt. And they were good at what they did, Charlie Hebdo. There's no doubt. But what I want to talk about here is the media, especially Fox News and CNN, making a big deal because it was Islamic fascist or Islamic terrorist. You know, Fox News went as far as showing the unedited video on there, which it's not there anymore, of the cop being murdered on the streets in France. That was very sad. I mean, like, when I watched, I was like, wow, I can't believe that they actually showed that. But they will not show a depiction of the Prophet Muhammad. I think that's very sad. Okay, it's very sad. And another thing I want to talk about is the Christian comments I see in on videos on CNN and whatnot, basically saying, when was the last time you seen Christians, Christians killing for someone drawing Jesus? I mean, like, that is such the shittiest, most intolerant, stupid fucking argument I've ever heard. Now, when you look at depicting the Prophet Muhammad, of course, Sharia law and the Hadith, they both claim that it's not right to depict Muhammad. You can't draw and whatnot. Where is this a similar claim in Christianity? There is none. There is none. So it's a stupid fucking argument. So Christians out there, stop making that fucking argument, because it makes no sense, okay? I can go on. CNN just came out with a video instilling more fear, basically inflicting more fear, I should say. Quote, "Are female jihadists a growing threat?" Why would they make a fucking video about that? Because there was one female. I'm like, that's just inflicting more fear into society. I'm like, why would you do that? Of course they're going to bash Islam. This is a prime example of the major media outlets where fuck their fucking faith, fuck the news media coverage on Breivik, okay, which was a Christian extremist terrorist, okay? He was a fucking terrorist, okay? He killed 77 fucking people and injured 319. Where was the fucking outcry by Christians saying, wow, we condemn this? You don't fucking hear that on Fox News. You don't hear this. And they say, well, the guy was just fucked up, and they would never fucking ever say that he was a Christian extremist. Okay, and another thing I want to talk about is how many Christians out there are comparing their faith to the Islamic faith now. like they are some higher authority, or they're more sane or more righteous, more moral than that religion. Okay. Well, hey, Christians, just to let you know here, the past has altered the future with your atrocities. You're not getting a free pass here, okay? Your religion is just as evil than Islam, okay? Understand that Islam is the king of bad ideas right now and fulfilling those bad ideas. There's no fucking doubt. Okay, we can look, I can give you an example right now with Christians, okay, the atrocities they're committing in Car Africa. We can look at Car Africa, the killing of so-called women and children claiming they're witches, or the hanging and stonings of homosexuals. We can look at that too, okay, as examples of the atrocities committed by Christians, okay? And the genocide of Muslims in Car. We can look at all this. You will not hear about these atrocities on CNN or Fox News. You won't fucking hear about this shit. Okay, I understand when I look at religion as a whole, the monotheistic religions, they're fucking all wrong in my viewpoint. There's no fucking doubt. That's why I'm an atheist. That's why I'm a secular humanist. I care about humanity. I care about people. I care about equality. I care about these issues. Many of these people many people in these religions don't fucking care about this shit. And you can give big thanks to the Christian missionaries out there on what's going on in Car Africa and Africa in whole, especially Southern Africa. You know, instilling fear and hatred and discrimination. You know what I mean? So that's all I really got to say. So who wants to go on? Or who wants to take over?
I'll go ahead. I was as much as it was an issue of, you know, this lunatic idea that anybody should ever die or even suffer a death threat for exercising free speech and free expression. Even aside from that, we had a thing that we were looking at. We were talking about for this. It was a 2013 Pew Research poll, like a study that was done on moderate Islam or mainstream Islam. And even I'm not, by the way, I'm not in any way suggesting that all Muslims would do something like this, like at all. I wouldn't say that. But as the research study shows, and here we have the graphic here, this is what came out of that study when people were asked, when Muslims were asked. And this isn't just in Saudi Arabia or Iran and places like that. This includes Muslims in Russia, in Great Britain, and all over the UK. I mean, it's actually kind of scary. I could go over it a little bit. There's 1.6 billion Muslims in the world. And according to this study, about 584 million support death for apostasy. That is, you should die for leaving Islam.
Religion, yeah.
748 million support death for adultery. More than 1 billion support instating Sharia law. And that, like I say, this includes in Western countries. It's about 40% of British Muslims agree with a Sharia law should be imposed in the UK. About 1.4 billion Muslims worldwide think that a husband should rule over the wife. I mean, there's so much in that Pew Forum that we don't have time to touch on. But I mean, that really kind of tells you something when these are even amongst the mainstream ideas. Not all support murdering somebody for exercising free speech. I'm not saying that at all. But those are shocking numbers. I mean, those are huge.
It is huge. Yeah, they're behind the times, man. Look at the countries they come from. I'm like Sharia law. They're just. Go ahead, Paul. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, and they're talking. You're talking about the Christians are saying, well, we're not as bad as that. Well, that's because it was, you know, it's in the past where you were barbaric, the Inquisition and all these other things where Protestants were killing Catholics because obviously they're, you know, in all the various sects were actually killing each other over the very minute changes in what their stance is. You know, Jesus was the Son of God. Jesus isn't the Son of God. You know, his body does change into, or you know, the cracker and the fucking wine does change into blood and body. Oh, it doesn't, and all this stuff, right? So in the past, they were very barbaric and they would kill each other. And then, of course, you got the Reformation, you got Enlightenment, you progress past that. So Islam is still relatively young compared to Christianity, and they're still in that phase where they're fucking killing each other over the stupidest goddamn details. Yeah. And they kill everyone else over the stupidest goddamn details. And people
sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm gonna agree with you, and then I was gonna add a little sub note that, you know, Christians still do it. We just talked about how Christians are 92% of Congress, and how Congress is still bloodthirsty and trying to.
Well, yes.
They still go and kill the others. They still do it.
Exactly, but what I'm saying is like they don't kill each other in this country because we're past that point where we're it's where we
They've
know
been
even
forced to
even
take a knee. Yeah.
yeah, they've been forced to say, all right, well, we can't really fucking enforce this death penalty and these barbaric goddamn laws because that's actually pretty stupid and retarded. So we'll go ahead and throw those out, keep things that we like, cherry pick, and continue on for that. So I think the problem is it hasn't caught up to where the Western civilization, I guess, has in that term, in that sense that they haven't caught up to putting, even though it's part of the religion, putting aside that barbaric shit because it's not really humane to do, and still keep up the good touchy feely parts and progress further instead of being so barbaric and dark and just back asswards.
Exactly.
I can agree with you, but at the same time, it hasn't been that long. we're still back asswards in a lot of fucking ways. Like the Christian right still rules in the morality spectrum, and if they were allowed to get away with it, if it weren't for the laws, they would still be burning witches and shit like that. It's a matter of how much you let them get away with, pretty much. And I mean, when we talk about voting, you talk about the lesser of two evils. So I guess in this case, you're talking about religion, and Christianity would be the lesser of the two evils. And so that you should support Christianity simply because it will outweigh Islam, I guess. I mean, that's one of the faults with the lesser of two evils thing, is because you're just going for like 80% the douchebag. It's still bad. You still want to avoid that kind of shit, but you end up having to support one to avoid how bad the other one is. And if you keep following that kind of ideology, you would just end up with worse and worse shit.
Well, yeah, and like you had just mentioned, it depends. The lesser of two evils is going to depend on where you live exactly. Because I'm of the opinion that fundamentalist Christians pose a much greater threat in America than any Islamic extremist ever could.
Absolutely.
They have the power. They have the monopoly on politicians. They have the numbers. They have everything they need to do that, and they are trying actively to do that.
Absolutely. Well, very well fucking said. Great point, Steve.
I disagree. No, I don't.
Yeah, I would have said exactly the same thing. I feel, as an American at least, I mean, if I lived in a different part of the world, I might feel differently, but as an American at least, I feel far more threatened by fundamentalist Christianity than by fundamentalist Islam, because it's not fundamentalist Muslims that are trying to ban abortion rights or keep gay people from getting married or impose their theology and the rules of their church on other people through force of law.
Though they would if they had the opportunity.
Oh yeah, I'm not denying that. The fundamentalists of any religion, they all pretty much behave the same way once they feel like they have the freedom to do what they want. And I would also say, if anyone is watching this and you were alarmed by that graph showing how many Muslims believe in death for apostates and that sort of thing, the more you treat Muslims as outsiders and the more you treat Muslims as other, and the more you marginalize Muslims, and the more you insist on placing a kind of group guilt on all Muslims for the crimes of a very, very few Muslims, you're only making that worse. You're only encouraging radicalization. You're only encouraging the kinds of isolation and marginalization that can lead people to be more receptive to terrorist groups and to radical Islam and to the kinds of teachings that lead to these kinds of acts. There are two solutions to terrorism. There's a long-term solution and a short-term solution. The short-term solution is to find the individuals responsible for the particular acts of terrorism and to hunt them down and to arrest them and to prosecute them or to kill them if you have to. That's the short-term solution. The long-term solution is education and communication and humanity, where you like what they did in Australia last month when they had that standoff triggered by a Muslim gunman. And the people of Sydney, Australia, instead of pushing away the Muslims in their communities, they came out and they said, look, if you guys feel threatened by this, if you feel like people are going to be Islamophobic as a result of this, we will stand with you. They were riding with Muslims who dressed religiously and were like identifiable as Muslims. They were riding with them on buses. They were taking the train with them to make sure that they wouldn't feel threatened. And that's the sort of response that I think we need. If we really want to stop terrorism, we have to come together and reach out to people instead of pushing people away.
One thing I want to add to that, Steve, is a very great rant there, by the way. What I want to say here is we need to realize here, too, and I want to put this out there, is we need to realize that the moderate Muslims out there, we looked at the graph, okay? We looked at the graph I'm not even going to go over the graph again. We need to realize that the moderate Muslims out there need to speak against these atrocities. They need to speak out against this, not when it happens, but keep on speaking out against this shit. What their Quran or the Hadith says,
and
they need to keep on doing that, not wait till the tragedy happens, because you need to realize this. I watched a lot of documentaries on Muslims and the Islamic faith. Is when it comes to the Islamic faith, they speak to people outside the Islamic faith like, oh, we're a peaceful religion, we're this, we're that, but then they'll support an attack like what happened in France with Charlie Hebdo. They'll support that, but they won't come out and say they support it because they hide behind their faith. But when you're outside that faith, yeah, dude, Hebdo.
You say Hebdo,
Charlie Hebdo.
Yeah, I think that was
traitorous son of a
Charlie
bitch.
Hebdo.
That's part of the problem.
Charlie
because
Hebdo.
But seriously, think about what I just said. Think about what I just said.
I wanted to add
seriously,
to your point.
Think about what I just fucking said because it's the truth.
I wanted to add real quick to your point that you'll notice when an atheist makes a mistake, like even on YouTube or whatever, they get called out for it relentlessly by other atheists, right? But when you see Christians say absolutely crazy shit, like you don't see a whole lot of Christians going and calling them out for it. I don't know if that's just a YouTube thing, and I'm just paying too much attention to one social media, which is extremely skewed or whatever. And I live in reality. I understand that having a few or 30,000 subscribers on YouTube or wherever the fuck I am, I don't even pay attention anymore. No, I totally do.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do.
No, but it's not like fame. It's just an audience for me to vent. And Steve, I don't know how you do a video every fucking day of the week.
And you work full-time job too.
Obviously, you're a Jewish Christian, so you need Saturday and Sunday off.
Exactly.
But
topic.
Luckily for us, you're not a Muslim. You work on Fridays. Is that punishable by death in Islam? Do any of us really know enough about Islam?
Okay, well, I want to expand on that a little bit. You're right. I hear Christians say, well, you know what? Atheists don't speak against Muslims enough. You know what I mean? Well, here in the United States, we have a problem with Christianity. That's why we attack the ideology of Christianity here in America. That's why we do what we do, is because we want to attack, I understand, our own country. We want to help to make it a better place, of course. But when situations like this arise, we're going to fucking speak against it, okay? We understand that it's bad. We understand we're going to speak against it. But if I lived in Iran and I was a secular humanist or I was an atheist, of course I would speak against Islam because I would know enough about Islam to speak against it. Here in the United States, we were all Christian at one point in our life. I think all of us here. So we know the Bible. We've read the Bible. I haven't read the Quran. I'll be honest with you. I haven't read it. I would like to read it so I can understand it a little bit more. But go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, if I may, I think I do know enough about Islam to at least talk shit about it and say it's not true. Anytime you're trying to tell me that a desert merchant in a cave was visited by an angel,
I think
gave him the word of a god, I know enough about it to say it's bullshit.
Now you're taking it too far, sir.
Yeah, dude. You're being intolerant, dude. You're being racist.
Intolerant. Look, we can talk about the goat herders that wrote the Bible. All right, but we're not gonna.
This shit wasn't done in China.
You don't talk about Muhammad, praise Allah be his name or whatever.
Peace be upon him.
Peace be upon him. But if you draw him, violence be upon you.
Peace be upon you. Not everybody else.
Oh, fuck.
There was one more thing about this subject. I don't know if y'all been keeping up, but there are already Charlie Hebdo truthers. Have y'all seen this?
No, I did not see that.
Truthers.
It was a false flag or some shit.
Yes. Well, that was one of them.
Didn't
False
look right.
flag. Yeah.
Didn't look right.
False flag. It was an inside job. I read in one of them, which is just astounding. Yeah, that supposedly that cop that got headshot, not really dead. It was all planted. It was
I noticed that, like,
Are you kidding me?
He didn't even really try. He was like swinging the gun past as he pulled the trigger, and then he didn't even look back to check and see if he
These
hit
guys
the
were
dude.
trained in Yemen, dude. Haven't you read it? They were trained in Yemen.
Dude,
They don't
so
fucking
they were
shoot
the
that.
guys in the video with like the monkey bars in the middle of the desert.
Yeah, correct, dude. They did the monkey bar training, dude. Didn't you know that?
Guys.
That is fucking
in that
intense
case,
training.
I changed my opinion if they did the monkey bar training, because in that
Fucking
case
right.
they were hardcore.
That sells it. Yeah, that
Yeah.
sells
They dove through like the wading pool.
Guys, can I show you?
The little kid pool, the toddler pool? They were like, like, now I'm hardcore.
That was their aquatic training.
Yeah. Can I guys aquatic training? That's a good.
Greg, don't spill the water. We got to drink that later.
Guys, let me show you something right here. This is a cartoon that somebody made against the major media outlets out there. Let me show you this because I saved it to the very end. This is an awesome cartoon that somebody made. So here we go. Let me get it up here. Here we go, right here. Bingo. And I think a picture speaks 1,000 words, so we can really talk about this picture. Give it a second, TJ. Come on, I know you want to talk. Or you love talking, but hold on. There we go.
I was gonna ask if somebody has links to the Charlie Hebdo, the cartoons that are not in French, that like they're redone in English.
Oh, I
or
don't know.
at least like captions, because everyone's showing me French fucking cartoons and I can't fucking read them. I see the picture and the picture's pretty funny, but I bet the words make it a little bit better.
Jesus Christ. What do you guys think about this fucking cartoon?
It's an honest question. Like, if the guy is dead and everyone's...
Stupid American, he no speak of French.
He don't speak of French.
It's called translator, man. Google.
No, what do you guys think about this shit right here, this image here? Like, this is the major media outlets. Don't you think, dude? Religion of hate. Charlie Hebdo. Stop immigration. You know, what do you guys think about that? I love fucking Israel.
Well, yeah, it makes sense, though.
It does, doesn't it?
One dude loves Israel and the other hates Islam.
Guys, I got a message from God. God just showed me. He just messaged me. God, this is what he just sent me. Here you go. You ready?
Is
God, no, just read it. Just read it. No, it's not dark matter. God just sent me this. Just for us atheists out there. So,
there's a delay.
There it is. I know there is.
Once again,
there's
gotta
a
say,
10-second delay.
Good job not committing any acts of terrorism. Keep it up. Love God.
There we go, guys. And that was my final point on this whole entire topic. Is like, when was the last time you seen an atheist commit such a terrorist attack on humanity? I mean, like, please,
what
no
about
Hitler.
Huh?
No, stop Hitler shit. No.
What about Pol Pot?
No, come on, seriously.
Or Mao, or Stalin, or all the
other... just stop it.
Did someone say pot?
Jesus, like, pot, what? But no, seriously, to end this segment here, or this news topic is, guys, fuck Draw Muhammad Day. Let's make it Draw Muhammad every day. How about that? Is that good? Let's do it, because that's our weapon right now against these fundamentalist fucking Islamic terrorists. Let's do that.
I would ask Dark Matter to draw a picture of Muhammad for us, but he sucks at drawing.
Yeah.
His animations are so bad.
So guys, fuck Draw Muhammad Day. Let's make it Draw Muhammad every day. Okay, that's my submission.
That'll work.
On this segment.
And just one more thing. Fuck Bill Donahue and fuck any of those people.
Oh yeah, fuck him. Oh my God.
That are blaming.
You want to talk about that?
You have it coming because
let us know.
Yeah, fuck you, Bill Donahue.
Speaking of which,
let's talk about this for a little bit. No, we have some time.
Hold on.
Let's talk about Bill Donahue.
Well, not fuck to Bill Donahue, but Steve was saying that we can't condemn all Muslims for what the acts of a few. The problem is you can't. The saying that's cool, but then you can't call out anyone who talks about Islam who critiques it as being Islamophobic or anything like that, which is what a lot of people do. And one of the things is if you watch BBC or if you watch things from UK, there's an asshat named Asgar. I can't say his last name, but he's saying that the cartoon is racist, and that's why it shouldn't be allowed, and that's why it's not being printed in the UK by Sky and other people. Is because the cartoon's racist, not because it's against a critique of religion. No, it's a racist cartoon, and they wouldn't show it because it's the same thing as showing the Nazi propaganda against Jews, and it's the same thing about like the propaganda they used to have in the South against blacks. He's making the argument that that type of cartoon there is the same type of thing, and these are idiots who think that if you critique the religion, if you critique the pedophile that was Muhammad, if you critique anything like that, then it's a bad thing, and you can't do it, and that's complete fucking horseshit.
That's the best argument I've heard so far against showing the cartoons, is that it's similar to the propaganda of the Jews during the Holocaust. Propaganda against the Jews, I should say. But that's the best argument I've heard so far, and it's still not a very good one.
Well, it's not the same fucking thing at all, though.
I'm saying any other argument against it, like for example,
I know, but I mean, it's a shit argument to even try to pull that analogy.
I'm agreeing with you that it's a shit argument, and it's still the best argument. You understand? Like, there's different levels of shit, and this one is like
I know.
That one's a solid turd, whereas other ones are like runny diarrhea.
14 crooks.
Yeah, exactly. So, but back to Bill Donahue.
Okay, let's talk about Bill Donahue. Are you going to explain it? Are you going to explain it? Or you want me to?
Do you have the video handy?
I don't have the video, but let's.
Okay.
If you know what he's talking about.
Here's what happened. He goes on fucking Fox News.
Give us the Reader's Digest.
He goes on Fox News, and the motherfucker says, like, what they did was wrong, but the cartoonists were basically inflammatory, so they were asking for it.
Yeah.
So he can totally understand where they're coming from. There's the real short version, but that's what happened.
Yeah. Bill Donahue basically said, hey, listen.
Donahue.
Yeah.
The man runs the Catholic League, and I'm not sure if he's even got as many people in his league as Jesus did disciples. Who the fuck can listen to this guy and take him seriously? And how he gets on Fox News is beyond me. The fact that he gets
Fox News loves that shit.
More airtime than David Silverman.
Silverman,
really boggles my fucking.
Which we're gonna have a show here. Which we're gonna have here on the show.
Always bringing it back. Always bringing it back.
Mm-hmm.
Always
You're
giving
such
me
a good
something to work
host.
with. I am, man.
God damn it, we look up to you, TJ.